Right. Last time we discussed Oracle is one of the top database management system, especially in relational database management, as well as it's a multi-model database, which also facilitates other different types of data model, which is the latest. So therefore, knowing Oracle will be a plus point. And also it will allow us to have all the key features that you expect in any other databases. It supports cross-platform, which means you can use it in any operating system. At the same time, it supports transactions, which means it makes sure that whenever something goes wrong, it will come to the consistent state, right? And also it can be applied in when you want to scale data. Everything is supported. So those are the plus points. And our focus is given for the free edition of this. This is called Express Edition, and which is what I have asked you to install, right? So having said that, last time we discussed about how to use SQL statements, and we look at how to create a database table. So once you have the database, what you're going to do is you are going to create required tables. So you can use a SQL statement or create table, and you can specify the table name. Then under this, we need to specify a few things. So let me take a more detailed version of this because we discussed a couple of ideas. Right. So for example, few things that you can have, at least minimum you can have the attributes that you want to have, the data types, and any constraints. Now, for example, if you look at the first one, you can see that we are creating a table department, and the attribute is department name, and we say it's a variable character, and the number 15 is the maximum amount of characters we can have. So this is a data type, especially if you want to have a string like department name, person's first name, last name, everything come as a data type called varchar2, which stand for variable character, and the maximum is 15. The constraint, we say it's not null, meaning that we expect to have a value for these attributes. So similar to that, we have defined here department number, manager social security number, manager start date, and so on. So you can see each and every attribute, we have different data type. Department number is a number. In this case, it's a integer value. We can have just number, and we can say not null. And manager social security number is just 9 characters. It's fixed. So we use character data type. Manager start date is a date. We specify it as a data type, right? And apart from that, we also discussed in the previously, you need to identify unique attribute. So that unique attribute, one of the unique attributes, we call it a primary key, which is we need to define for each and every table. And in this particular case, we have selected department number. If you remember from the previous, we discussed both department name and department number key attributes, we call it, but we'll select one as a primary key. Right. This statement is actually how, for example, manager social security number reference the social security number, because we know that whoever the manager is actually connecting the employee. So that foreign key constraint we list here. And we will say that if you delete, right, if you delete employee, right, that should affect the department as well. The delete cascade means it should propagate. So these are the ideas that we have discussed last time. So let me now show you what we are going to do in practically. And then I will ask you to, set up the environment for you, and we'll go one at a time, right? So to demonstrate this part or try out the the Oracle SQL commands, I'm going to use live SQL. So let me share the screen. So please visit livesql oracle.com. I will put down the, so it says livesql oracle.com, which is provided by Oracle. So please visit this website. And to have the live SQL environment, we have to create an account. So you will get a form. Please fill out the form. It will ask your email address. And once you fill out the form, it will send you a confirmation email. If you click on that email link, then you can log into the live SQL. So what we are going to do is we will put down, so this is what I have created for our company database. And then your output will be also available. So you can see we have created an employee table and we have entered the data, and the output will be look like this. Okay, so let's start. So please log into livesql.oracle.com. And then you will notice here, there's a sign in button. So you have to click sign in. In my case, since I'm already logged in, you will get, in my case, I will get my link here. But here you will get register. So maybe I will do in the other mode. So let me put that. Okay, so let me try here. So when I'm going to try in, okay, you will see something like this. Oracle account sign in. If you already have account details, you can type it. But if this is the first time, click on create account button. So when you click on create account button, you will get a form here. Please fill out the information and click on the create account. And once you create the create account, it will send you an email to your email address provided. Right, so what we are going to do in live SQL, here we type the commands we want to create for employee table. And when you say run, it should display, if it is a successful, it will say table created, which means we are success here, right? Okay, next one, just you can clear this one. And then I'm going to give you the complete code for the table in the chat. I'm going to send, just try this one. Because this is the complete code, meaning like up to the primary key for our employee table. So just copy paste this and just run. Okay, reason is we have already created the employee table. Okay, I will give you one more code. Before this is because we have already created a table. So we are going to talk about something later on, how to clear when you have a situation like this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have another code in front. These line, the first 9 lines we use, if there's a already table called employee, we are going to remove it. To remove a table, we use SQL command drop table employee. So simply what we do here, this is a PL/SQL code in Oracle. You first check whether there's a table called employee. If you have, then you first remove it and then you create it. So now if I run this, hopefully statement processed, table created, I'm success. So let me share this code with you. So I hope you understand this. So the complete code from the beginning, the first part of the code is we check whether there's a table employee. If so, we drop that, meaning that we remove that, and then we create the table. Right. Now, inserting data into this, that minus 942 means there's no table called employee. So the idea there is you check whether this is there, right? And then you work on this. So if you check what minus 942, so which means it's referred that the table is not existing. So the idea is, right, we check whether the table is there, right? Then if the table is there, we remove the table. So that's the idea. Right. PLSQL, actually, I will discuss these later on, depending on how far we can go in the SQL. But at least I'll cover the basic SQL and the advanced SQL. But we can go up to PLSQL as well. So I will talk about how we can go for procedures, and we can talk about what exactly this means. Right now, I'm not going to explain this, but I think we want to first understand this set of codes. Right. Right. Okay. Now let's add some data. Now, adding data in SQL is, we can say, insert into. So let's type 1 and let's see whether we can do it correctly. So usually when you type insert into, and we have to type what table we want to insert the data. So in this particular case, we want to insert into employee table. So then we list out attributes. So in this particular case, we are going to put into everything, right? So I will list all the attribute. Right. So these are the numbers. And then I will go to the next line. I can break the lines, I told you. But at the end, you are putting semicolon, right? And then provide the values for each of these. The first one is, the first name is John.
They have put query sex and salary. I will be sex slavery one also.
Paranji, if your Mic is on. Okay, thank you. So we have John P. Smith. And then that is the first name, middle initial, and last name. Social security number, we said 9 characters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then we have birth date. Okay, I need your attention. Now, usually what Oracle supports is we have a month, year, and date. So depending on how you can put, we can provide the formatting. So in this particular case, we are going to use the formatting saying year, month, and date format. So to format this, we are going to use, there's a function called toDate. So I will type toDate. And then I will provide the first the value. So let me assume that the person is born in 1965, January 9. And then we will provide the format. So this is year and month and date. Because this is very important. Sometimes people use different date formats. It's very confusing sometimes when you switch dates and the months. So that's why reason we are using this function to format that. And you will see the outcome. Then we have to put the address. So I will put 731. So this is the address. And then the sex mean the gender. We have male, M, single character. The salary, we put it as 30,000. And then we have a supervisor social security number. For the time being, we'll put 333445555. And then the department number as 5. And we'll put at the end the semicolon. To see whether this is working correctly, let's put select all from employee, which should show us what we have entered. So I have put 2 lines. So let me run this. It says 1 row table created, 1 row inserted, and it will show you the outcome. Right? So let me copy paste the last 2 commands for you to enter in case if you missed it. If this is a success and if you are seeing this, you can see the birth date, you have the month, sorry, the date, the month, and the year in Oracle default month form. Those who have finished, and if you are getting this answer output, can you please raise your hands? Okay, good. So which means now you are comfortable of creating tables. Romana, I told you like if you are getting this error, you should enter this first part, this line. I have put in the
Okay, I'll do that.
can you put this in the first top? It's because you
Sure.
are getting this error because the table is already existing. When you run
Already
multiple
existing.
times,
Okay,
you are trying to create the table again. Yeah.
sure.
Excellent. So let me put other records and I will share with you everything with you. So I'm going to put some more commands, right? After this, let me put down some more records and I will share those with you in the chat. You can copy paste this, or maybe I will give you part by part. Let me enter the first 4 rows. And then last 4 rows. So there are like 8 lines I have copied in the chat, right? Which I have done it here. Let me run again. And if I have done successfully, I should get a table like this, which has 8 rows. I have entered 8 records to the employee table. So you should see some data like this. If you finish up to this point, can you please raise your hands? Okay, great. Small question for you to try out. Now you know that when you put select all from employee, it will select everything. All means all the columns we are going to list here. Let's say I need only the name and address. Can you give me the SQL state for that? I want to list only the name. I can put, okay, only name and addresses of employees. Yes. Can you give me the command? Okay, I got one answer. So the right now, when I say select everything, select all from employee, I will get all the list. I want to list name and addresses of employee. List the first question. I will put 1 here. First question, list name and addresses of employees. You can check, right? Second one that I would like you to answer. List first name, birth date, and salary whose salary is more than 40,000. Right. Let me give you the answer for the first one. Now, when I say list name and addresses, the command is, we can say select name start from F name, that is first name, middle initial, last name, and then address, right? DDRESS, address from employee. So let me run this. If you done this correctly, right? So I will get output like this. You can see my command is select first name, middle initial, last name, and address. So it usually we call this as projection, which means we just list all the columns that we want to display. Okay, let me check how many of you have answered. We have 9. Okay, Nirmal, Hasita, Bhagya. Okay, I want everybody to try this out. Right. The format is like this. Usually, the format of the instruction should be something like this, right? For your information, right? So the select is, we use select statement and you list of columns, or we can say list of attributes from tables. So it could be coming from one table or multiple tables. So we can say, let's say table or tables. And then where some condition, if you want to limit your SQL or limit your output, then we use a where condition, which you need to answer my second question. Okay, I want everybody to try the second question now. The second question is, list first name, birth date, and salary whose salary is more than 40,000. So if you go here and if you look at the data set in our employee table, you can see salaries 30,000, 40,000, 25, 43, 38, 25, 25, 55. Okay, we have 2 records which we can see the salaries are more than 40,000, right? So we can write like this if you want. We can say select first name, birth date, B date, and then salary. Okay, I will go to the next line. From employee, actually we are still working on one table. Okay, can you fill here? So what is the condition that we need to put? So we are selecting the first name, birth date, and salary from employee table, where it's a simple inequality that we want to type. Those who have finished, can you please raise your hands? We can see Hasita finished, Saumya finished. I got the answers from Asoka and then Nirmal and Bhagya and Nayan, Anuradha. Thanks for sharing your answers with me because I know that you have finished. Okay, so let me put up the condition. We know that the salary should be greater than 40,000. Let me put the semicolon to mark the end. So let me run this. when you run this now, you can see, you go down. Okay, there are two cases, Jennifer and James, both their salaries are more than 40,000. Right. Okay, so interesting. If you have a difficulty, just let me know in the chat, because I want to make sure that you are comfortable with up to this point. So right now we are discussing SQL statement, especially Oracle SQL statement. And now we are going to trying out with the live SQL tool available in Oracle. Right. Right. Now, let me give you, let's say you want to count how many records you have. So this one will count number of records in a table. So these two dashes means they are considered as a comment, and when you execute, it will ignore. Now, one way that you can actually, you can, like a computer program, you can have this list of commands in a file, and then later on you can again use this set of commands to rerun and create the table, right? So that is also possible. Right. Now, when you want to count, I think we have discussed this earlier. Select, you can say count everything, or we can say count all, and we can say from employee. And if you run this, you will observe that we get the count as number of records. And in this case, you will see we have 8 employees in our employee table. Okay, fourth one, let's say we want to list employees whose social security number starts with 987. So what it means, if you go back to my original data set, if you look at employee social security number, you can see the first one start with 123, then 333, 999. Okay, 987. We have one here. Jennifer social security number start with the 987. Right? So what we can do is, when you have a situation like this in SQL, we have a operator called like operator. If you know exactly, for example, let's say additional one, let's say we want to get this, right? Let me have some additional one, list employee whose social security number is equal to, okay, let's say we have this. If you have a situation like this, we can say, okay, select, let's decide what we want to have. Let's say we are going to list only the social security number, first name, and last name, right? And then we can say from employee, where we will say social security number should be equal to 987 654 321. Right. Let's put a semicolon. So if you run this, you should notice that, okay, we have 987 because we have matched exactly this social security number. We have one person, that is Jennifer, right, is the output. What we really need is list employee whose social security starts with. So that means it's not the equal. So for that, when you want to partially matched, there's a keyword called like. So we can say select social security number, first name, last name from employee, right? Then we will say social, where social security number like, okay. So this is the first one. Then you have to say, okay, if you start, then you say 8987, and the variable part, we will have the percentage symbol here, which is indicate the variable. So now what happens? When the social security number starts with 987 will be listed. So let me run. So I'm going to run this code. And if you go down, now you can see there are two employees in our database, whose their social security number start with 987. So both Jennifer and Ahmed, you can notice their social security numbers are start with 987. Okay. Now let me guess what we need to do now. Find this. Small exercise for you. Fifth one. List first name, last name. Okay, first name, and then let's say address. Address whose address ends with Humble, Texas. Okay, can you give me the query for this? If you go back to my original data set. Okay, we have, okay, you can see Ramesh is the answer I'm expecting. So you can see Ramesh address ends with this part. Can you give me the command for this? Okay, I'm getting answers. Inuri is the one who gave me the answer first for this. Good. Saumya, Asoka. Exactly. The percentage sign, I told you, it's like allow the variable character. Sometimes we call wildcard character, which means this symbol can match into 0 or more characters. So earlier we put at the end. So that means beginning is like this. The right now, where to put this sign then? Should be in front, right? Okay, Kamita also gave me the correct answer. Good. And Nayan, again, Nayan also. So let's put down the answer. We want to select F name, first name and address from employee where address like, okay. So we have put percentage symbol which match 0 or more characters, and then Humble, Texas. And at the end, you have to put semicolon. So let me run this. If you have done it correctly, you can see the first name is Ramesh and the address. Okay, Hasita also managed to give me the answer. Good. Remember, this week's quiz, you will get question something like to this. Right. Another query. Let me give the sixth one. Okay, sixth one. I want you to list we have first name and address where address contains Houston, right? If the address can say Houston, I want to list everyone, right? Let me check. How many of you have? Okay, we have Houston. There should be 5. It could be anywhere, right? Can you see whether you can come up with the SQL query for this? Okay, so this time it was quick, and then I got couple of answers. Inori, thanks for sharing the answer. We have Nayan, Asoka, Bhagya, Saumya, Kamita. Right. So point is that we have to use percentage side in the both sides, because we won't include this term inside the address. So simply what we need to do, I can just copy paste this one to save some time. And then where address like, okay, so I have to say, okay, 2 percentage symbols like this. Okay, Marina also gave me the correct answer. You got the idea. So when you put the 2 sides, it will match 0 or more, which means the address should contain this term, right? So let me run this. And if you go down, you can see there are about like 5 records. Yes, we have 5 records. John, Franklin, Joyce, Ahmed, and James. All these 5 employees, their addresses contain Houston, right? So now I think you know how to match the values exactly and also like partially. You are comfortable with that one, isn't it? Right. Right. Let me give you a select statement. We now discuss three parts. Select, which means we have list of attributes. From, that means a table. Where the condition. There are two statements we can include. The next two is we can use order by and then group by. So the point is this. Now, when you get an answer, you can rank the answer based on particular attribute. So when you want to have order by, you can have again list of columns which you can base on ordering. So it could be one or more, right? And then the other one is group by, right? So when you say again group by, again you can have a list of columns, how to, group the answers. Now let me give you some examples for these two cases where we have order by and group by. First, let me explain, right, order by statement. So let's say I want to list the first name and the last name of the employee. So I'm going to explain order by. Order by. I want to explain order by. So let me say I am going to write a select statement. Let's say I'm going to list the first name and last name from employee. So see what will happen when you run it. You can notice that if you go to the end of the list, it will look like this. There's no ordering as such, you can see. They are appeared exactly as we have entered in the database. So Johan is the first one, Frank is the second one, and there's no order here. Let's say we want to order this, right? So to order, what you can do, you can decide which attribute you can use at order. So what you can do is, you can say order by, we can say F name. So by entering order by F name, what we ask is, okay, order the result set based on the first name. When you say like this, it will order alphabetically. So you can see now when I execute this one, and if you go by to the last statement, you can see now the last table, the result set, you will notice your first name start with Ahmed, Alicia, Franklin, James, Jennifer, John, and Joyce. And finally, Ramesh. It's in the ascending order. That means alphabetical order. Okay. Let's say you need a descending order. So if you need the other way around, that means a descending order, you can add one more statement. So we say descending, DESC, descending. Okay. So when you say descending, and if you run this time, and if you go to the last statement, you will notice that now the record start with Ramesh, Joyce, John, and so on, which is we have sorted in descending order. What we are going to do next, we will try out some more. We discuss how to use order by. Then I want to explain group by. Okay, so let me explain group by. Now, for example, this could be explained using department numbers, but I didn't discuss that. Right. How shall we do this? Okay, right now we don't have any value. Okay, we will have, okay, we can have department numbers. Okay. So for example, let's say something like this, right? So I'm going to say select, right? Let's say department number and then last name from employee. So if I run this, you can notice what we are getting, right? So simply we are getting department numbers as well as, right, the last name. There's no really order of this. Let's say we want to group by. So same thing I'm going to use, but this time I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to group by department number. So let me run this. So now, okay. In this particular case, I'm going to, I have to use count as well. The idea that I want to use is by grouping them, right? I want to make a count as well. So let me put count here. So the idea is I'm going to count number of employees in each department. So that's what I'm going to do here. So I use count here. So let me run now. So in this particular case, you can notice that, okay, I have 3 departments. Department number 1, we have 1 employee. Department number 5, we have 4 employees. Department number 4, we have 3 employees. Right. Okay. Right. So now I think everything I discussed. One last thing before we going to talk about join operations. Let me talk about renaming. Right. The last thing I want to discuss rename operator. What do you mean by rename here? Like, for example, here, we can say number of employees, right? Instead of this. So I'm going to use this, right? So the rename operator is called as, and this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, count L name as number of employees. So if I do this and if I rerun, what you will notice here, instead of count last name, so here we have renamed the attribute name as number of employees. Okay, I think for the basic SQL statement, this is enough. Let me make a small change by updating and deleting. That also I want to discuss. Now, so far we discussed how to create table, how to query the table using select statements in various ways. And let me discuss how to update them. Right. So updating, we have a command called update. Similar to select, it will make the change as update command. It works like this. So let's say we have a John Smith. Let's say I want to make it Smith to Sina. I want to make our first employee as John Sina. So let's change the last name as Sina. So I'm going to explain update statement. So to update the statement, it goes like this. We will say update, and then we have to specify what we are going to update. We are going to update employee table. So we will say employee, right? And then we say what to change. So we will use set keyword and we will say what to change. In this case, I want to change the last name to Sina, right? And then we have to say the condition. We are not going to change everyone's the name to last name to Sina. Currently the last name is Smith, and that is what we want to change. So in the where clause, which is the conditional statement that we have to say, we will say last name should be Smith. So what happens here, we will look at the last name Smith, and that we will make it to Sina. Right, to see that, let's say select all from employee, because we make the update, and to see what is inside, we have to use this statement, right? So we make the change here, and this one will give us the updated table. Let me run this. So you can notice here that if you go down, right now, if you look at the first record, you can see the first name is John, middle initial P, and the last name may have make it to Sina. So that is simply update. Similar to that, we can use delete as well. Now deleting, again, like in earlier, you have to tell what to delete. So when you say delete statement, simply we have to say what to delete. And first we have to say which table we want to make a delete, right? So for example, let's say I'm going to delete from the employee. So let me say delete from employee. And then you have to make a selection, what to delete. Right? So we can say, okay, where, which one? Let's say we are going to delete the first record. You can decide how to, do that. We can say where last name equals, let's say, Sina. Let me see after update. I will use the same command. So you first delete a record from employee where the last name is Sina. So all the record which matches to this condition will be deleted. So let me run this. Right. And you can notice that now we have only 7 records. So it says 1 records deleted, and you end up with 7 records. Let me explain foreign key constraint, which means how to combine 2 tables. And then let's work on queries. So that's what I want to discuss in the last half an hour or so, right? Now to do that, let me give you again the command. We should not spend time on, running the commands. So the first one, I will show you like how we are going to do this, and then I will give you the commands, right? Now the second part, I mean, you remember our employee database, we have multiple tables. So I will give you the full data set that you can actually try to implement, but I will use I'm going to implement one more table, right? So this time I'm going to use department table. So let me put department here. So I will put department here, right? So if you remember, in this particular case, I'm creating a table called department. We have department name varchar 215, not null. Department number int. You can see there's a statement called default one, which means it already assigned when you enter something as a default value 1. If you are not assigning any value. Manager social security number, you assign 9 characters. Manager start date will be date, and we primary key we define as a department number. So let me run this. I will give you the code, and hopefully it is creating. Table created. And if you rerun, it might be a problematic. So like in previous case, let's have a PL/SQL statement where you check whether the department statement is department table is there. If that is the case, you will remove. So that I will include here as well. So now what happens, right? Whenever you run for the second time, we will not have any issues because we check whether the table is there. If that is the case, you first remove the table and then you create the table. Okay, so let's put down some records. In this particular case, I'm going to use some details about the department, right? In this particular case, I'm recording 3 departments. So let me put at the end, and then I'm going to list them. So let me run this. And you can notice that, okay, we have created 3 departments: research, administration, and headquarters. Okay. So I hope the process is familiar to you. So let me give you the codes and please run in your system and let me know whether it's a success, right? Okay, so I'm just sharing with you the codes for entering the department. So we first create the department and then we insert 3 records. That means we are inserting 3 departments. Right. Is it a success? Just let me know. Tables. Now connect this employee table with the department, right? We can use the same table, right? So let's connect the employee table with department table, right? But when you're going to combine, you have to first need to understand how they connect. For example, we know research is the department number 5, administration is department number 4, headquarters is department number 1, right? And you can see that if you look at here, each and every person who's worked for the department, that information is also there, right? Now the simple one would be, like, we can use the same select statement, right? So we can say, okay, select, and let's first list what we want to keep. So let's say we want to have first name and last name of the employee, from the first table. And let's say from the second table, we want to have the department name, right? Okay. So department name. So we can say select first name, last name, that part from employee, the department name from the department. Okay. And then we will say from the two tables. So we can say employee, comma, and then we will say department. So we list the tables, two tables. Now we have the condition. The condition that I want to discuss is how to connect these two together, right? So if you look at, there are one common field in both the tables. We can see here the department number should be equal to D number from that, right? So we have, this is called sometimes a joint condition. So put the joint condition. So we can say, okay, department number should be equal to, right, T number. So that is actually from the department table. So now let's run. And if you're done correctly, right, so you can see now we are combining the two tables. Combining the two tables, right? We are combining the two tables and we are going to list the first name, last name, and the department name. So right now we have already deleted one of the records, John Smith. So that's why we have only 7 records. So Franklin Wong will be working on the research, Alicia in administration, Ramesh in research, Joyce in research, and so on. So you can see we were able to combining the two tables together. Okay, just let me know when you finish this part, then I'm going to. Now, Nirmal asked a very interesting question, and in a way, it's true as well. But let me give you a direct answer. Now, Nirmal, there are several ways you can join tables. This is the first one. We actually use select statement where we specify the join condition. Now, since we have two different values, we didn't have an issue, right? We didn't have an issue. But if we changed, right? And if you have same name, then there'll be issue and you have to type your table name and then the attribute name. To explain this one, let me rewrite. This is another way that I can type the same thing, right? Same thing. Same as the above with table names. What do you mean by that? I will put this, instead of saying department number, we put the table number as well. Employee.department number should be equal to department.department number. Now the Nirmal's question is this necessary? Yes. As Nirmal said, if you have the same name in two tables, put in department number equals to department number will create an issue, and then you have to put the table name. But then there are other ways. For example, in SQL, we have something called natural join, right? So when you say employee natural join with department, it automatically joins based on the same attribute names. So in our case, the attribute names are different. So answer for your question is yes and no. It depends. When you have different names, you don't have to specify the table. But if you have same, yes, as you said, it's necessary to have the table name. But then you don't have to specify this join condition at all. It's called a natural join if you have the same attribute names in the two different tables. So you can search about the natural join, or in this one I can explain. You can actually update the column name to department number, and you can specify natural join. So by using natural join, you can combine without providing any attribute names. Right, good. One last thing I want to discuss today is foreign key constraints. What do you mean by foreign key constraint? Now, according to the way we have written the table, we can delete without affecting the other, which is inconsistent. Now tell me, what if I delete the research department? If I delete this record, our data becomes inconsistent. Can you tell me why? Can someone tell me, if I delete research department, our database will be inconsistent? Yes, Inori, what do you think? You got my point, right? So you can say, right now we know there are people who work for the research department. If I delete research, what will happen? What will happen? Yes, the database will be inconsistent, right? Because those who work for the research department is still, you have department number 5, right? That means we have not specified what should happen, right, for your foreign keys. So the ideally, we want to say something like this. Now here you can see this department number, right, will connect to the department number. And when you try to delete research department, what should happen? Right. Now let me show you this, otherwise you might not understand. I'm trying to delete, right? So I'm going to try to delete the research department, right? So I'm going to make some changes. Can you give me the command to delete the research department? We can say delete from department. Okay, how do you specify the where condition? Can some of you give me the answer for that? Yes, you can say department name is research, or you can say department number is 5. One of these. You can use any of these. You can say, because these are unique. So either you can say department name is research or department number is 5. So whatever it is. So let me use D number equals 5. So if I delete let me show you what will happen. Employee and department, right? Why I'm saying so? Now you can notice what will happen. So I'm going to delete. At the same time, I'm listing the two. So you can still see the department number 5 is there. So this should not be done. It like you have removed the department, is still the people are working for the department. So ideally what should happen? We can think of several ideas. Either we will say restrict usually, right? Now to say that, we have to update our definition, right? So I will go and come back here. So you can see here in our employee table, we can specify foreign key constraints, right? So if you say foreign key constraint like this, foreign key department number, references department D number, what we are saying is our D number will refer to the D number in the department. And when you delete, we will say, okay, set this to none. Right now, nothing will happen. Still, we will have 5 is there. But we know that 5 is no longer in the department. We have removed the department. So we are setting, okay, set it to none. So that's what we are saying here, right? So what we can say here is, we can say, okay, type this one foreign key, and then we will say department number, references, department, D number, on delete, set none, right? So let me add this, right? In our original definition. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back here, right? After maybe primary key, let me put this, right? Right, let me run. I hope this will not make any error mistakes. Okay, so we have made a mistake. What was error? So we said foreign key, we have department number, preferences, department, D number, on delete, we'll see set none. Department spellings. Okay, thank you. Inuri, thanks for letting me the error. Okay, so the error is department, of course. So let me rerun again. Okay, now there's another problem here. The problem is in the insert ones, we are putting number 5. So that means we have to have department should be described. So the idea is we have to first describe this one. So I'm going to make a change. What I'm going to do is I will take this part, right? I will take it to the top of the script. So I will create this, the department, because we need this, because we refer department here. Without defining the department, we have a problem. So that's what I have done. So I make a rearrange. So let's see what will happen. Okay, we drop the department, we create the department. Okay, we did this, and then what happens? So we have okay, the issue right now I'm having is there are a couple of issues. Let me rerun. At number 2. Okay. The begin. Okay, so I don't see any issue here. So I'm going to remove this one. Let me see for the time being. Because we specify just like that, we will not say anything. Still we have the issue. I'm just checking what has happened the last few statements. You can notice now what has happened when you remove the research department. You can see that those who works for the departments also remove, right? The reason for this is because when you, since the foreign key department number reference the department, when you remove the department, right, that makes the remove the employees as well. Right, I think the time is up. So let me explain one more time in the next class how exactly this will happen. What I want to emphasize here is we want to make sure that these tables are referenced properly. Otherwise, what might happen when you remove data from one table, then your database might be inconsistent. So to make that, we have to specify foreign key constraint. So that's what we did. And then we ran out a small issue. The reason is I have written some statements. Let me go through carefully and give you the full set of commands where how we can focus. So only way what I'm going to do in the next class is I will start from this point onwards, and then we are going to talk about advanced SQL part, right? So having said that, I'll stop for this point. Few things I want to discuss. The next week, I'm going to explain how to perform this in once you install in your machine using SQL Plus. But remember, you need to have your system username and password. The usually system username and password comes as sys or system. And whoever created the or installed your database might have given a password. Make sure that you will get ready with the password next time. So you can just check this by entering, you open up. Yes, Bhagya, I will share the full script. Let me explain one more time before we finish how you may log in. You can check SQL Plus. Usually you will have SQL Plus in all apps if you go to, and then if you go down to your Oracle installation, in my case, it says Oracle DB2 Home 1, you have SQL Plus. So this is what we are going to discuss first next week. But to work with, you need to have the password. So system password, we say sys as sysdba, and then it will ask the password, right? So let me put my password, and then it says connected. So make sure that you are connected and you are in the prompt like this. And this is necessary for next week session. Oh, sorry, the Thursday session. Make sure that you get the IT's help to come up to this point. So I will explain next week how you may actually use work with your local database. Today we have worked with what is available in the Oracle. Okay, I think we have discussed a lot. I will share my note and the full script so that you can actually try it out again from the beginning. And next week, we are going to discuss more advanced queries and how to use in SQL Plus. Right. So Nayan, actually, you should get some help from the IT